Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, people, and welcome to Footy JUDGEMO. Welcome to the National League big weekend. Arguably, in my opinion, one of the biggest weekends. Of course, Arsenal traveled to Manchester City. Arsenal with a horrific performance yesterday, in my opinion. Absolutely shambolic performance yesterday. A lot of people are not liking the media have approached the analysis of the game. A lot of people didn't like that I actually was very critical of Arsenal yesterday, the way they played, treated Atalanta in a very, very strange way for me, to be honest. A lot of people are saying Arsenal now is doing the defense thing all the time, but in my opinion, it's all about the attack as well. It is all about how you score goals, how you create chances. Odegaard is missing for 2 months. That's how big would that be, to be honest, for Arsenal? We'll talk about that as well. Can Arsenal cope without him? We'll talk about Arsenal versus Manchester City. What are the keys? How can Arsenal beat Manchester City? Is a point enough for Arsenal against Manchester City? Chelsea, tough game. They actually, if they win this game, they will have 10 points out of 15, which is a very, very decent start. Liverpool bounced back, won against Milan convincingly. So that is a very, very good sign for them. So we'll just preview the weekend and talk about who's favorites to win the game, who's gonna be the keys for Arsenal. There is Raheem Sterling now. He has to start at this point because Martinelli is not doing it. Martinelli is absolutely not doing it. We'll have to talk about that as well. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of hot stuff in my voice. Like my voice is tough and my neck can't move. So apologies if I can move around. But big up everybody that is here. Rory's here, Danny's here, and Joe just joined us. Hit that like button, people, if you just joined us. I guess we'll have to start with the game yesterday. And I'm so intrigued to see Rory's opinion about the game. How are you gonna spin this to make it look like you played well?
I'm not going to spin it anyway, and I don't think we played that well. I do still think that I still credit the defense. I do still think it was a game where we set up defensively and anticipated that, you know, we would potentially catch them out on the break, or that we beat them from a set piece. And listen, that's not necessarily the way that we want to be playing every game. But given the circumstances of the week, I didn't mind it too much. And we kept a clean sheet, thanks to David Raya. I thought the penalty was soft, in fairness. And outside of the penalty, they didn't really test us at all. A couple of long shots from Cuadrado. So, like, I don't mind that performance defensively. And then offensively, yeah, we're lacking creativity. And it was a very, very, even as a fan, boring team to watch. So I can imagine as a neutral, it was pretty catastrophic to watch it. Look, Martinelli buries that chance. We talk about it very differently. You say that's a very sensible performance, but he didn't, and because we're not creating that many chances, you can't really afford to miss them. So yeah, not a brilliant game, but not an awful.
You know what the difference is? I didn't think you actually approached this game to defend.
We did.
I actually thought you tried to play and just couldn't.
We did for the first 15 minutes.
Yes,
we tried to play.
You tried to press, you tried to play, you tried to be the team on the upper hand, and then it didn't work out for you. Here's my problem with this, and going on the weekend, we know that you're going to play defensively, but what Thomas Partey, for some reason, isn't as good on the ball as he was 2 years ago. Declan Rice yesterday didn't look good in terms of like on the ball as well. And Kai Havertz is Kai Havertz. Sometimes he has good moments, sometimes he has bad moments. So everything was on Bukayo Saka, who was marked yesterday, didn't look great. Going in the weekend, do you think you're going to go and defend against Manchester City the whole game?
Yeah, of course we are. We'll play the exact same way. I promise you, we'll set up to keep a clean sheet and try and get them on the counter. That's how we've played every big away game in the last year or so, and it's worked. Like you can't take away from the fact that objectively it's worked. Now, for me, you know, if we set up to keep a clean sheet and we keep a clean sheet and then we come away with either a draw or a win, I'm very happy with that. So
100%. You know, someone commented yesterday on my stream. He said, Arsenal at least used to be a team to watch. People used to enjoy watching Arsenal. But now people don't enjoy watching Arsenal.
Yeah.
And so you need to win as many games as you can playing that style.
Yeah. So do you know what people... But this is the thing, right? At the same time that we were great for neutrals to watch, we wouldn't win in as many games. We wouldn't pick up as many points. And then they turn around and say, oh, soft underbelly. Oh, they can't handle big away games. Oh, they can't handle the big 6 games. So, you know, yeah, we've changed the way that we play. And look, if it's not entertaining,
Atalanta was not a big away game. It's just established.
I think it was to an extent. I think because it was. I mean, Atalanta are a good team. I think they set up very well. We saw what they did to Liverpool last season. But I think the main thing was that it was first Champions League game of the season, away from home, and smack bang between Spurs away and City away. I think the context of that made it like we couldn't go gung ho, right? We couldn't burn ourselves out. We had to try and conserve some energy for Sunday. So yeah, it's fine.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I can't help but get frustrated and annoyed at even this conversation that somehow Arsenal going to Manchester City and getting a point away from home is conceived to be a poor result.
Fantastic.
Exactly. And I see in the chat, it's loser mentality. It's all this sort of stuff. Last season, when they went and got a point, we were all celebrating. Then what happened? They didn't win the league. And some sections of the media said it was because they didn't go and win there. So then what happens is everyone becomes tribalistic. Everyone, oh, yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why. When in actual fact, it wasn't. And any team in this division would be happy to go to the Etihad and come away with a point. And just to see all this notion like loser mentality, it's bullshit. It's silly. Like any team in this division that can go to the Etihad and come away with a point is a positive result. So I don't understand. And listen, if they go and draw that game 0-0, to be honest, I think it'll be a draw. And it'll probably be a bit of a stink fest, if I'm honest. We'll all be excited for it, but it'll probably stink the joint out. And it may be 0-0, 1-1, or 1-0 either way. But say if the Arsenal do come away with a point, they'll get battered. They'll get battered from tribal fans instead of just saying, do you know what? Let's just take a step back and say, over the course of the season, going to the Etihad. And how many points did you get off them last season, Rory? 4.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? You know, I just think it's crazy that people want to try and give the manager.
I'm gonna tell you the difference.
Go on then, mate.
I am all about Arsenal defending. And guys, can we get the likes up to 100? Guys, hit that like button underneath the live chat. Come on, I haven't even asked for the likes yet. So the like button underneath the live chat. Hit that like button. Get us to 100 likes right off the bat, guys, because it helps the channel. It helps the show. I'm gonna tell you the difference. What I'm seeing from Arsenal now. That's me bigging up my club. We defended against City. We defended deep when we needed to. We defended with banks of like 5, 3, and 2. But when we got the ball, we tried to play. We tried to go toe-to-toe with City in terms of like playing from the back, not hoofing the ball forward. We tried to reach their goal. What I'm noticing from Arsenal lately is that the majority of their play is choosing the easy option, which is we're going to go long for Havertz and hoping someone will pick up the second ball. That is not a way to play football, to be honest. And that lowers.
Why is it not? Why is it?
I'm going to tell. Okay, because this is very, very low probability that you'll get the second goal and get goals and create chances. There is a reason why Arsenal, I am all about you defend when you need to defend, because Pep Guardiola does this. People don't realize that Pep Guardiola, sometimes in games, they go defend all the team. They don't press every single minute like before. But when they get the ball, they are trying to create their own chance. My criticism of Arsenal now is that after all these years with Arteta as a manager and all the money that you spend, I know you have injuries and everything, you should have the quality to pass the ball and create something on your own without playing the ball long, hoping that Havertz will win the first header, or if Havertz doesn't win it, another guy will win it. That is literally Sam Allardyce, Tony Pulis, Sean Dyche brand of football. It lowers the probability to score goals.
Did City score a goal against Brentford the other week that went from Ederson to Haaland?
But here's the difference. City do this 2-3 times a game when the other team have one-on-one at the back. Teams don't leave one-on-one against Arsenal, by the way.
There are more ways to skin a cat, you know. You have to use whatever avenue you can to
you don't even have the big guy
result.
up top. Like Havertz is not that big. Like, and Erling Haaland, by the way, shoving or shielding the ball against Ethan Pinnock. Havertz don't do that. They try to head it, hoping that someone will win. Are you happy with this, Rory? Are you ball and hoping that the second ball will drop to somebody?
But I feel like this is a bit. I mean, we're literally talking about the last 2 games here, right? That's not something that we did last season or that we were doing at the start of this season. We're literally talking the last. We're talking the last 2 games where we've not had Martin Odegaard. In one of the games, we didn't have Declan Rice either, and we're trying to figure out, a different way. Bear in mind, they've basically had 0 time on the training pitch since Odegaard's injury either. So
you got 4 points.
And I think we're trying to adapt on the fly. And the easiest route is to go long, and we have gone longer to Havertz more than we normally would. But when you don't have Martin Odegaard in there and you're trying to figure out that solution, I can understand why. I don't think this is suddenly going to be the game plan for the rest of the season. Even if and when Marino comes back, I think that'll make a big difference because of his quality on the ball. So I think it's more circumstantial, but no, I understand the point. I don't want us to be playing like that forever, but we're just trying to make do with what we've got.
You'd take it if it wins your league title, though.
Oh, happily.
Like, I've watched years of Mourinho and like Conte football. Like you take it.
No, but that's not Mourinho and Conte football. No, don't disrespect these
I
guys.
think theirs could be even worse at times.
No, not true.
I've watched Mourinho but I've watched us win Champions League finals mode, parking the bus.
That's different. That's why I said Arsenal are built to win cups. The way they play, they are built to win cups.
Yeah, but Arteta's deciding that actually maybe his team has been questioned around where it's had grit and determination in certain games. And he's making this team learn and do it for a few games in a row. So their most important games against Manchester City, they're going to be ready.
But yeah,
this is the one where
again,
they need to try and get points. Chelsea have done it against City last season and got points against them as well. It's the only way you keep yourself in the game, because no one else can compete with the quality that Manchester City have in Erling Haaland, basically.
They could have competed with Atalanta, to be honest, just to let you know.
Possibly, but again, I do think you're comparing. I feel like you're comparing like Spurs away when you don't have Rice or Odegaard. That is like a cup game in a way. That's you're not going to be in that scenario most of the time. And Atalanta away is the Champions League game wedged between the two. If we're doing that against Leicester City at home in the Premier League next weekend,
you aren't doing this against Leicester. You aren't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. So therefore, it's not really a concern in terms of if you're talking about can you win the league playing like that. Well, yeah, if you're doing it in the big games away from home and it's getting you results, then yeah. If you're trying to do it against Leicester at home, then maybe we've got a problem.
Raheem Sterling, I don't know. Like, to be honest, I'm watching this and I think Arsenal should be able to play the ball, even against Manchester City, by the way. You should try to play. I'm not saying you go all out. This notion that people think that for you to pass the ball around means you go all out and then go football. That's not the case. You just try to play, but that's our thing. I don't know why Arteta, in my opinion, Arteta is scared of pushing players forward because of the recovery of his players. That is what I think is happening, to be honest.
I think there were times yesterday where we were knocking the ball around like normal. The thing we were missing, I mean, there was one, it was like around the 80th minute where we knocked the ball around really nicely. We progressed the whole team up the pitch, and then it got to Havertz and he tried to slip in Ben White, and the quality of the ball wasn't there, where with Odegaard it probably would have been. So I don't think it's fully like we are just defending on the edge of our box and then hoofing it long to a striker up top. I don't think it's quite like that.
It looks horrific sometimes, to be honest.
I agree. It's not the most entertaining, but...
Yeah. Well, listen, Gabriel and Saliba, I want to speak about the defense and how the defense now of Arsenal is very, very strong. Even in front of them with Declan Rice and Partey. One of the things that I thought about is that Declan Rice needs to play at the 6. He is a better 6 than an 8. I don't know how you solve this, but it's very obvious that sometimes he struggles in the 8 when Arsenal don't have the majority of the position. He isn't the guy to play between the lines, receive the ball, turn, and do like an Odegaard style, like a Moreno style of play. You know what I mean? Like, he isn't that guy. He needs to play a 6. Mm-hmm. Do you think you need to play Rice as a 6 and maybe Thomas Partey higher on the pitch?
Yeah, I think I would play Declan Rice as a 6 and drop Thomas Partey.
Who would play then?
I literally at this point I'd rather see, because then you're talking about the left 8. We got maybe a month until Marino's back. I would try Jurriën Timber in there, and I'd put Calafiori at left back.
Jurriën Timber is not great on the ball, though. He's not fantastic.
He's very, very good on the ball. He's very, very good on the ball, and he's very good in that position. He can receive the ball. Watch Jurriën Timber receive the ball from any angle. He very rarely loses it. He's exceptionally good in that area. So yeah, that's what I would do, because I think he's actually being a little bit wasted at left back at the moment. And Partey, for me, the big thing about Partey was always he's the one out of him and Rice. Rice has all of the physical assets, but Partey is the one that can play balls through the lines, that can move the ball forwards quickly. What we're seeing from him at the moment, to be honest, is just not good enough. He's losing the ball in possession. He's losing his duels, and half the time, the majority of the time when he tries to play it forward, he loses the ball. So yeah, I would drop him, play Rice in the 6 where he's far better, and try Timber in.
And get Calafiori in, right?
And get Calafiori at left back, yeah.
Maybe. Guys, let's get the likes up a little bit. For Bukayo Saka, though, a lot of pressure on Saka lately. Lot of criticism on Bukayo Saka lately. Oh, yeah. For some reason, because of Odegaard not there, a lot of pressure on him.
He's got a goal involvement in every single game this season, hasn't he, in the league?
The thing about it is that what the say is he needs to get better in terms of the dribbling, carrying the team and everything. There's a lot of pressure.
Do you know why?
I'm telling you, with Odegaard,
I know, but it's because he's Arsenal's star boy. Like, why? How can you criticise a player that's got a goal involvement in every single game this season? Like, what are we doing? Like, I just feel that there's, and this is why I get frustrated, because I listen.
Do you think there's an agenda against Saka?
Well, of course there is, because it's Saka. How can you criticize? There's a guy in the chat saying he's average. Well, tell me, apart, like he has a goal involvement in every single game this season. I don't know how many other players bar Haaland have got that. So what are we doing? It is what it is. It's crazy. Arsenal have conceded 1 goal this season and they were down to 10 men. Outside of that, they haven't conceded 1. But people want to do this mad agenda like, oh, yeah, they need to do more. No, I mean, Matt, yes, he does have a goal involvement in every single game this season in the Premier League. Yes, he does. It's facts.
Yes, he does have. From the corner against Spurs, yes. The problem is, I'm going to be honest, some performances from him were good. The first game was good. The involvement was good. But some games it wasn't, and it was masked by the corner that he did for Spurs. He wasn't that good. He was involved defensively. Yesterday, it was horrific from a lot of players. The ball is not going to him as much. He played 75 minutes or something like that yesterday. The ball is not going to him. Does he need Odegaard? I don't know, but I'm looking at him and I'm like, I need you to be the guy that carries this Arsenal. Should he carry the Arsenal team? That is the thing. Should we treat him as a 22 years old or 23 years old? Or should we treat him as the one who should carry Arsenal? I think that is the main question, by the way. You know what I mean by the go-to guy, like a Kevin De Bruyne at Manchester City, Cole Palmer. Chelsea, every time they look for Cole Palmer, he is the go-to guy. Should Bukayo Saka be treated this way? Or should he just be another guy on the pitch?
I think to an extent, A, he is treated that way. B, like, he pretty much has been that guy anyway, but people don't want to acknowledge the fact that he has dragged us from the depths for the last 3 years. And C, look, if we're talking about his performances without Martin Odegaard, yeah, he's just getting the ball far less. Actually, I thought last night, on the occasions where he did get the ball, I thought he looked bright. It was our brightest spark, but he just wasn't getting the ball enough. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I find it weird. I find it, firstly, like, even if Saka doesn't necessarily have a brilliant game, but he still pops up with a goal contribution, people will say, yeah, but he didn't play that well. It masked.
Yeah, but they have the same energy for Mohamed Salah. They have the same energy for Mohamed Salah.
Who do? Because I don't.
Everyone, the media. Mohamed Salah doesn't play well and get a goal or something. Oh, you played like shit. They have the same thing. Media always do that.
So
for some players. For
Saka
and Mohamed Salah, yes. For Foden, it's the other way around.
I agree with Foden. It's the other way around. Well, personally, I remember making multiple videos, even last season, about how ridiculously underrated Salah was because of the numbers he was putting up. Because there are other people, other content creators trying to slam Salah, saying he's horrible to watch and all the rest of it. And the fact is, he pops up with the most goal contributions. So, my opinion, I speak the same way about Saka that I do about Salah. In that,
let me give you guys an example.
The output is.
Let me give you an example. Phil Foden came off the bench against Inter, right? One of the biggest chances of the game fell to his feet inside the 18-yard box, right? He takes a shot, it hits the goalkeeper, right? And it was wide open goal in front of him. Apart from that, he didn't do a lot. After, no one criticized him. No one said that Man City could have won the game because of him. They criticized everyone else, right? And I said on the show after, and Man City fans will get triggered, but that is the reality. If Arsenal drew 0-0 at home to any team in the world, and this chance fell to Bukayo Saka and he missed it, there will be headlines that Bukayo Saka bottled it. Headlines, Bukayo Saka bottled it. That is the reality that we live in. Mohamed Salah bottled it when the chance fell to his way. Arsenal drew because of Saka. But no one mentioned that chance. And I'm not saying that sometimes when you miss a chance, you play bad. But the media treat them differently. Salah and Saka are treated differently than Palmer, than Foden for some reason. And listen, for some reason, Bukayo Saka is not the media darling. But some of the Man City players are the media darlings. Oh, Foden, he played well. Like the justification was for Foden, but he didn't play a lot. And it's good that he took the shot. He wasn't that place. So they talk about the positives for him rather than the negative. I don't know the reason why for that, to be honest.
I'll tell you, I think the reason is quite long, but I'll tell you, the best example was last season, Bayern Munich at home in the Champions League. Bukayo Saka scored a brilliant goal early on in the game, had a solid rest of the game, should have, in my opinion, won a penalty at the end of the game, but some people decided it was a dive, and everything after the game was hammering him about supposedly diving, despite the fact he had a great game, scored a great goal against Bayern Munich, and all he got after the game was abuse from other fans. And I think the reason is the majority, and the media make their content for the audience. The audience is the social media football world. The social media football world cannot stand Arsenal playing well and try and tear down any Arsenal achievement, because
that's not real. I refuse to believe that.
And I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. At the start of the blow up of football social media, right, was when Arsenal was shit. AFTV, people grew up and got used to Arsenal being the big club that was a joke that you could punch. And they don't like the fact that that's not the same thing anymore. And so they try and find ways of tearing everything down. I'm seeing, I'm having to defend people saying yesterday David Raya's double save was bang average and it was straight at him and stuff like that. You're seeing moments of class and people still try and tear it down. This is just what we're used to. And because the media know that, they write articles and stuff that feed into that because they know that's where they'll get their clicks. That's just how it is.
Does everybody believe that Arsenal are treated differently?
I want to hear that. There's no doubt, is there, that Arsenal negativity definitely probably gets the most numbers in terms of social media.
Actually, that's not true because Terry, all his videos are Arsenal props on the football terrace, and he gets a lot of clicks.
I think Arsenal in general have the biggest social media YouTube presence, positive and negative. But I think they do. It is true.
Okay, that's very good. I don't want to take from you guys because I want to hear Joe and Dan's opinion. But let me tell you guys, that is true, but also there are reasons for this. And some Arsenal fans don't want to admit it. I have a lot of Arsenal subscribers, right? And shows when I talk about Arsenal, I'm being very honest, it actually gets the most interaction. That is true, right? But sometimes I did a show with Dan and Ziad over the summer. We had over 1,000 people watching. We didn't mention anybody but Chelsea for a whole show. Right? Why? Because they were at that time trending. There was that time.
Do you not think, Mo, that Chelsea are now in a similar position to what Arsenal were once in?
I'm going to tell you what is the thing about
similarity there. Like,
yes, go ahead. I was going to explain why Arsenal are a talking point all the time for me, for other people. I'm going to explain that very simple.
Go on, I hear
Arsenal, and I told that Rory on a tweet before, right? You have the law, and I said it yesterday, and people got triggered. And I'm going to say it again because this is, to be honest, I have a lot of panels on the show. This is the rational panel along with Martins and stuff. So hear me out and correct me if I'm wrong, right? The Arsenal fans, prepare because you guys are going to get triggered. The people in the chat. You have the longest serving manager on the top 6 that haven't won the league or the Champions League, right? You back your manager with everything. You are the team in the current moment from the top 5, forget Spurs, that haven't won the league or the Champions League for the most time. And plus, which is the main thing, you are the team closest to achieve all of this. Like, you have bigger chance than anyone else apart from City to win the Champions League and the Premier League. Is that correct? Like, if I'm picking an English team to win the Champions League closer than anyone, it will be Arsenal. It won't be Man United. Maybe Liverpool, right? But you are closer to that. So that is the thing, that you are the closest thing to this, to what is it called? To remove Man City from the top to win the league. And you have the longest serving manager, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if Arteta don't win. And I'm not going to go into this conversation again. We go every single freaking show, right? So I'm not going to do this. But 5 years at the helm of a top club without winning the league, there has to be questions. Am I wrong? Not questions about it. You have to be under the microscope. If Chelsea, let me give you an example for people not to. If Maresca doesn't make top 4 this season, well, next season, every single time Chelsea miss a point or miss on a top 4 or Chelsea on a 5th, we'll be doing shit about, what about if you miss on top 4? Are you keeping Maresca? Is Maresca doing his job? That's just the reality of football. Us Inter fans, when Inzaghi drew a game, hell broke loose in the Italian media. Why? You're expected to win the league. That is why. People, and I've been Martin. Do you remember? You know Martin, Rory? Martin that does the shows with us, the Australian Martin, the older Martin.
Yes. Yeah.
Martin always says, "Leave us alone, leave us be." What does that even mean?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I mean, do you know what? Like the questioning now, I get more than. But we saw this start in a season in 22-23, in a season where we went into that season where no one even thought we'd get top 4. We ended up finding ourselves in a title race. And you had people at the end of that title race saying that we were bottle jobs and questioning whether Arteta could ever win anything. Do you know how stupid that was? Do you know? And because we had to, and Arsenal fans do get defensive. Arsenal fans get defensive because we're so used to having to defend insanity, like actual nonsense, that it means we're probably more defensive about some things that we shouldn't be. But it's been the experience the whole way through, and so that's just what we deal with. And maybe we overreact to certain things. I mean, talking about, okay, Terry speaks well on Arsenal, and it does good views. Goldbridge does the same. I think when well-known rival fans of Arsenal speak well about Arsenal, that does well. And equally, when certain Arsenal fans speak badly about Arsenal, irrationally badly about Arsenal, that's a way of getting views. I think there's two different things there. But for the mainstream media, they know if they put out a talking point that is negative or suggests being negative about Arsenal, they know it will do well. It always does. And that's partly because of Arsenal fans. That's partly because Arsenal fans overreact to it and amplify it on social media. But that's just the game.
Someone asked me in the chat, I'm going to do the super chats. Someone asked me, is that the same point about Saka? 100%.
Yeah.
Watch Cole Palmer if he doesn't perform. Watch how the media will slaughter him if he doesn't perform. Cole Palmer. Why? You score goals, you are young, and you get into player of the season, or you win young player of the season. You don't perform. It's the same thing. You go through the cycle. Everyone goes through the cycle. It's everyone. Of course, for Manchester City, it is different. And Manchester City fans don't admit this, but for Manchester City, it is different. Do you know when I was talking, someone from the viewers, do you know what they said? They said, oh, he only played 45 minutes. That is his first 45 minutes. It's always, but he didn't play as a 10. He played on the right. Oh, but he didn't have support. But the reason why, because Manchester City actually win games and win trophies. That's why they get the justification. D. Brown here is saying, have you ever said to yourself, Salah was not aggressive? What about Saka? The levels are not the same. Saka is not a killer. That's another criticism of Bukayo Saka as well. Like, I asked this question yesterday.
He's getting more aggressive. I definitely think he's getting more aggressive. But again, yeah, the kid's 23 years old. What was Salah doing at 23 years old?
Don't compare Saka. Don't compare Saka to Salah. Okay. You're so defensive that you started attacking Mohamed Salah.
No, I'm not attacking Salah.
Mohamed Salah is coming from Egypt. I'm gonna defend my Egyptian guy here.
Of course.
Completely It's not because he's Egyptian, it's reality. This guy didn't have the facilities that Foden or Palmer or Saka or any English or Hazard or any guy from Europe had. This guy at the age of 18 was traveling by train to play to even train every day at his club for months. Never had the facilities. When he went to Basel, he was by himself without a language. There's a difference in terms of like how you bring a player up in England or Italy or Belgium than in Egypt. So I can't fault Salah for being poor from a third world country. Like you can't fault me for being a brilliant content creator coming from Egypt. You just can't. It's the same, you know.
I mean, that's
actually
really
the same.
I wasn't even trying to make
English is not my first language, and I'm here presenting in English, so I gotta get more praise.
Yeah, well done, well done. No, I wasn't even trying to make a point about quality, which you know you're right with what you say. But I'm talking about like mentality and maturity. You know, as you get older, I think that confidence in yourself and the aggression that you might have, that maturity, I think that comes with age. And I mean, I'm seeing it happen to Saka in real time in the game against Spurs at the weekend when Vicario started squaring up to Timber. The first person in there was Saka shoving Vicario out of the way. We didn't see that from Saka a year or two ago. So I do think that is a part of his game that's developing. But again, like, you know.
Now, Arsenal fans are just sensitive. When you are a big club, you expect a spotlight, but Arsenal fans can't handle it. That is what Rory's talking about, actually. These comments are what Rory's talking about.
Yeah.
By the way, Rory, just to let you know, Salah I'm pretty sure he was scoring against Arsenal in a 6-2 win when he was 22.
Bang!
Yeah.
Damn!
Just to let you know.
Yeah. Off the bench, no doubt.
Yeah.
No, look, I'm not.
Wenger's
By
thousandth
the
game.
way, the fact that that's where Arsenal were at that point, that's why some of us are quite happy that we're not going to be beaten 6-2 by Chelsea anymore. So when some of us are happy about the way things are going, because not everything is about winning a trophy. I'm not even going to get rattled by it. I'm not going to get rattled by it.
Don't get rattled. Why you're rattled?
I'm not trying to rattle you either.
No, I wasn't getting. No, I was getting rattled by like my own thoughts of just how much I despise people. Not Dan. People on the internet.
Rory, I'm gonna tell you something, bro. I love these discussions, and also number one, it's good content. Number two, they are fun, and they remind me when I used to hang out with my friends and discuss that. Do you know how Rory came across now, just in the last sentence, when he said we're just happy that we aren't the 6-2 against Chelsea anymore? Is that comes across sometimes with rivals that you're just happy to be here. You're happy that you're competing, because where you were before versus where you are now is day and night. Like, for example, Leeds. Okay, let's not take it to Arsenal. Leeds United, right? If Leeds get better and better and better, and they are in a top 6 in the Premier League, and then started years and years, and Leeds fans are saying we are happy just to be here. People are saying, but you were a top club before. You have to be demanding trophies at some point. And there's no. Comparing to where we were versus where we are now, we're just happy. That word triggers people, especially when you're challenging for titles. That word, because I've heard it from Inter fans. When we lost the leagues, but we were only challenging for top 4. I'm happy now that we're challenging for the league. That's not how people view football, to be honest. And that's not how I view Arsenal. But you know, when I started watching Arsenal, you had one of the best teams in the world, bro. When I started watching Arsenal, you had one of the best teams in the world.
Same. But then I went through 16 years of utter shit. Well, not 16 years, but especially the final 8 years. It was horrible. So yeah, let me enjoy a bit of recovery. Like this idea, and I swear to God, as someone that goes to the games and meets real fans in life, in person, not behind a keyboard, Arsenal fans are happy again. And yeah, we could be happier, but we're happy again. And these people that sit online and say, you can't be happy unless you win the trophies. If you don't win the league, you're a loser and you have to be unhappy and miserable. But that's what you're saying, because you're saying, I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying that.
I shouldn't be happy that we're in the conversation. But that does make me happy, because we weren't in the conversation for years. So I am happy that we're back in the conversation. And I would like to be happier after we win it. Right? But that doesn't mean I can't be happy about what I'm seeing. And we've lost one game in 2024. How am I meant to be angry and unhappy?
I am never. I never say you can't be unhappy. You are in a title race. I actually said that you are in the same pot as Inter, Liverpool, Bayern Munich to win the Champions League. So I am happy that you are here and it's good and everything. I don't know why people are saying hold that. What happened?
I don't even know.
I don't know. Suraida, why do I have to hold what? I don't need to hold anything. But listen, to be honest with you, just back to the Arsenal talk. Oh yeah, here we go. Mo is a fraud. The guy, thank you so much. Rory starting left wing is on par with Chelsea's worst. That is something that yesterday we got into the discussion when some people started comparing Mudryk to Martinelli, and the fact that Arsenal are comparing their starting left winger to the 7th best forward at Chelsea is ridiculous. But that guy, thank you for super chat. We'll come to that in a bit. Bermuda Gunner, Mo is a fraud. Inter do well, and you decide it is the way to go. You said you would lose. Now you believe you are the blueprint. Hindsight. I still believe that Inter went to the Etihad, that we were not favorites to win the game or even get a point, because we aren't a defensive team. What do people talk about? And in hindsight, when you watch again, okay, Joe, did you watch the Inter Man City game or you didn't?
I didn't, man. No, I didn't.
Did you watch the game? there is a lot of things that happened in that game. It's in the blueprint to play against Man City. Being resilient defensively, and you break their lines when you pass the ball between their lines. Rodri was exposed in that game. So that is the blueprint in hindsight. Did I believe that my team can do this against Man City? Yes. And at the end, we only got a draw. We didn't win the game. We didn't win the game. We got a draw. So yeah, that is the way to play against Manchester City. Why I am a fraud? How? How am I a fraud here? Anyway, going back to Arsenal. Couple of things we want to talk about before we move on to Chelsea and the other things. The left winger problem. Martinelli is getting better, but now the chances are falling his way and he's not converting them. Who's going to start? Is it Trossard? Is it Sterling? Or Havertz should start there and Jesus up top? Jesus looked horrific as well yesterday. That is another topic. Who's to start?
It's a tough one because I'm, you know, it gets more and more difficult to defend Martinelli when he misses those chances because that you know, it's costly, right? The difficulty is I still think Trossard is better off the bench. Sterling, I'm unsure on. Jesus, I thought looked poor. So there is a part of me that still just wants to give Martinelli time. But the more and more time you give him, almost the worse it makes it because you keep giving him the time. The pressure keeps mounting. He's missed another one yesterday. Like, there has to be a point where you say, okay, it's untenable. But yeah, like, it wouldn't surprise me if Sterling started against City, to be honest, given the way that he played against City last season for Chelsea. But yeah, it's we were not gambling, but we were counting on the fact that bringing Merino in would massively help our left-hand side.
Yeah.
And we've not seen him play yet. Right. So that's tough. But it has to be said that Martinelli is still getting chances and he's not scoring them. So that's, even if Merino comes in, you know, yeah, okay, maybe if you give Martinelli enough chances, eventually he'll score. But yeah, it's a worry. It's probably right now, injuries aside, the biggest concern in the squad. Because it's the one part of the squad where you go, even if everyone's fully fit, I'm still not sure.
It's going to be the striker. That's the biggest thing. Because Havertz is going to play in the midfield.
Well, yeah, whilst Odegaard's injured.
While Odegaard and Merino, so the next 6 games or 5 or 6 games, we will see Kai Havertz in the midfield. You have nobody else. He's never going to play Jorginho Rice Partey, right? He's never going to do that.
Wow.
And he doesn't trust him. Otherwise, he would have brought him on yesterday, right?
That is something that is frustrating.
I remembered you yesterday when I'm like, we have to see Nwaneri now. This is the time now.
No,
and when he didn't bring him off the bench, I'm like, and nobody's gonna convince him that he was saving him for Man City. Like, he wasn't. No. If he was gonna play him, it was yesterday. We will see Havertz in the midfield. We will see Gabriel Jesus up top against City. I'm convinced.
No, I think against City we'll play the same as Tottenham. I think it'll be Trossard in midfield.
Martinelli.
Can have it up top. And Martinelli, yeah.
Really? I believe Gabriel Jesus is suited to the City game.
I don't think so. Because
you already lose faith?
I haven't lost faith. Well, not lost faith.
In Gabriel Jesus.
Not lost. Well, yeah, but I mean, I didn't have a huge amount of faith off the back of last season anyway. I'm concerned about him physically. But I think
so you think it's going to be Jorginho on Partey or Rice on Partey?
No, it'll be Rice and Partey in a double pivot behind Trossard, I think. And then Trossard will kind of go up as a second striker at times. But the thing is, if Havertz isn't up top, then we haven't got that long ball outlet. And I think we need that against City more than pretty much against any other team.
Do you know, I heard lately a lot of people, and I want to get Joe and Dan's opinion about this. I heard lately that Arsenal didn't do enough in the midfield in the window. And I looked at this and I'm like, how is it their fault that their captain got injured in international duty and Mikel Merino got injured in the first training session? How is that their fault? How that they literally said we need a midfielder, get a midfielder. They got a midfielder. Forward line, yes, maybe.
I agree.
They didn't make a mistake. They didn't make a mistake in the midfield. It's unlucky that their midfield got he got injured like the first training session. It's not his fault, Arteta, to be honest, or Edo. It's not their fault.
No,
at all. By the way,
I think you bang on. I think in the attacking areas, there's still question marks, isn't there? But yeah, the midfield, when everyone's fit, they've got more than enough. And like you say, you can't legislate for injuries, right? You know, in terms of like for one to happen in his first training session, you can't legislate for that. So these things happen, man. These things happen. It's not like, say, for example, when Liverpool needed a midfielder and they went and got Arnold, who was already injured and then never played a game, is it? You know what I mean? That's shoddy. Whereas even maybe buying Endo, that was shoddy. Did he even have a long-term future at the football club? No, it was a stopgap. Whereas Arsenal have bought a player that they needed, but it just so happens that he got injured. So I don't see what the issue is. But again, agendas will agenda against Arsenal. This is facts.
Yeah, I believe if Arsenal loses this game against Manchester City, I don't know what is going to happen, but it is going to be, the media are going to pile on Arsenal. The league is over, of course. Everyone is going to say that. But there is the thing about no cover for Odegaard that people still talked about. There is no cover for Odegaard. They don't have any cover for Odegaard. Is that something that Arsenal should have looked at all?
Well, for me, and this is why I want to see more of Waneri, my feeling was, okay, you've got Odegaard. You've decided that you don't need Fabio Vieira or Emil Smith-Rowe, who were the two natural players that would normally come in for Odegaard, and you've promoted Waneri to the senior team. In my head, that means you are prepared for Waneri to get minutes. Now, did Arteta expect that Martin Odegaard would be missing for a long period of time this early into the season? Probably not. Did he think he would probably have more time to give Waneri some build-up minutes to potentially starting games? Probably. He's been unfortunate in that sense that he's lost that. I mean, people talk about we should have kept Fabio Vieira. Fabio Vieira is injured. He's not played a game for Porto yet, and he's not expected to play a game for the next few weeks. So that would have been absolutely irrelevant keeping him. And again, with Smith-Rowe, look, he's playing very well off the left-hand side at Fulham right now. Yes, it would have been nice for him to come in, but again, we made 35 million off him. So again, no one really disagreed with that decision at the time. So hindsight is easy, right? Hindsight, if you told me, 4 games into the season, you're going to have no Odegaard and no Marino, I'd have said, well, yeah, we should probably go out and buy another midfielder. But, you can't plan for that. So, yeah, it's tough. I just hope, I think there's time to bed in one area after the City game. We've got Bolton Wanderers, then Leicester. I think those are 2 games where you can start giving him minutes and start ramping him up.
I think the Arsenal midfield is all right. I thought you would go on another midfielder, but people told me that Nwaneri is good enough. We'll see if Arteta. Guys, moving on to guys, we got still over 500 people here. We need the likes up to 200 likes, guys. Hit the like button underneath your live chat. Guys, like the video underneath your live chat because we need more likes, guys. Moving on to Chelsea. There's a lot of some criticism of Cole Palmer. I heard some people saying that Cole Palmer need to be moved from the 10 to get a little bit of freedom on that right side. And instead of being marked, which is Maresca said that we need to find solutions for Cole Palmer. And because he's doubled on, he's marked all the time, we need to find solutions. Do you believe he should go on the right side then?
I think there's an argument for it. I think arguably at times when he starts out on the right and drifts in centrally, he isn't picked up as easily as he is when he's starting off in a central role. I think I've seen that this season, that although it's very early doors, and I don't think last year he barely even played Premier League minutes at this stage of the season because we didn't sign him till deadline day. So he might be a slow start and we just don't know it. But realistically, there's definitely a discussion to be had for him playing on the right, with Nkunku looking as good as he does for me, with Madueke having a good game against Wolves, but then ultimately not offering as much in his previous games like since then. I think there's a discussion to be had. I think Chelsea are blessed with forwards that allow that front line to be fluid and players pick up different positions with the profile players that they've signed. But yeah, look, it's going to be difficult for Cole Palmer, and it's a learning curve. And if he can step up from the challenge of now being doubled up, which is always what happens after a season as good as what he had, people start to sort of look at that as a massive strength for Chelsea. And they try and obviously counter it, putting 2 players on him, leaving in late tackles. He's going to have to ride it out if he's going to continue to be the player that we all thought he might be. So yeah, it's going to be a tough challenge for him. But
do you think it's going to get? Does anybody here think that Palmer is going to get criticized if he doesn't get the same GA as last season?
yeah,
Yeah, and
Is he even asked to get the same GA? Are we going to sit here and think that he should get the same GA?
I wouldn't expect him to, but you know, and I probably wouldn't massively criticize him if he doesn't. But I do remember last season when he was being compared to Saka, and we said he's not getting treated the same way as Saka. He doesn't get doubled up on. He doesn't get kicked off the park. Chelsea fans were trying to convince us that he was being treated the same as Saka, and yet this season now they're saying, "Oh, now he's being doubled up on. We need to change it." And now maybe he can't play on the right. At the start of the season, it was Palmer needs to play centrally. He's not as good off the right. Now it's maybe centrally isn't. Maybe we do put him back on the right. And it's like he's playing a different game now. He's being treated with the respect that he earned last season, but it is a different respect. So no, I think it will be more difficult for him. I would expect it to be more difficult for him, and I would expect other Chelsea players to step up around him because they're not going to be able to rely on that output this season. However, he's going to be taking more out of other teams' defenses. He's going to be dragging 2 or 3 players out with him. You then have to make the most of that in the spaces that he leaves. So
exactly, you're bang on. Yeah.
I'm looking at Cole Palmer, to be honest, and there's so many outlets at Chelsea, and I believe that will take away from him, not add to his game. What I mean by this, if Nkunku's fit, he demands the ball. Jadon Sancho is someone that demands the ball. Joao Felix is someone that demands the ball a lot. Last season, Cole Palmer was the go-to guy. It was, let's give the ball to Cole Palmer. We know things are going to happen. Now, this season is going to be different. He's going to have to be a team player because it's not going to go all through him. Sancho's playing. If Sancho plays well, right, for Chelsea, he might be the go-to guy because he was the go-to guy for Dortmund, by the way, in terms of like creating chances and stuff. I don't trust Joao Felix, the compilation guy. That's the compilation signing. They made it for the compilation. They signed him for the compilation. But if Sancho's playing well, you get me, and you got Nkunku, Lavia and Caicedo get the ball all the time. I believe Cole Palmer might struggle this season to get into the same form as the go-to guy. Some people need to be the go-to person. I believe also that is, and by the way, that is why some Chelsea fans are saying maybe we move him to the right because he isn't set to play in the center now. Because they think that Chelsea play from the side and he will get more touches on the right. He will give you doubled on the sides as well. It's not going to be more free than
because I think what we've seen when he's played centrally this season under Maresca is a lot of frustration for him to be able to get on the ball in areas that he got on the ball last season a lot. Like what you're suggesting, he was the go-to guy to receive it. But we've seen already against Crystal Palace that he had to drop down into the 6 to start trying to pick up the ball because we're seeing Enzo's Maresca's vacate the middle. Now, in the last game, we saw a pivot be a little bit more consistent with Caicedo and with Vega in there, and it kind of allowed him to pick up positions that were a little bit more natural. He was also devastating when we were in transition last season. I don't think he's been in a role really to be as devastating apart from that Wolves game. So I think it's something that's just going to take a bit of time to see how Maresca's team's going to look. I don't think Maresca's team's had enough consistency yet to sort of see where Palmer's going to fit into this jigsaw. Personally, I think off of the back of last season, though, he should be your priority in making him work.
But that's what I'm noticing.
The team around.
HUSAM said that the other day.
Someone like that.
HUSAM said that the other day. And I see Chelsea fans actually echoing what he's saying, right? But not wanting to admit that Pochettino is one guy to rely so much on players like the main man, which is called Palmer. It looks like Chelsea are more versatile now in terms of the way they play. It doesn't go through the main guy. And he needs to understand this, as you said, that it has to be different ways of play. It's not only, I'm going to give the ball to you. For me, I'm looking at Cole Palmer. I'm thinking the pressure is on you. Chelsea put you on that spot. Chelsea fans put him on that spot, by the way, by, as Rory said, comparing him to Salah, Saka, like great players. So he needs to rise. Talking about Sancho as well. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just quickly going to say, and this is what one to more like come back at the end of the season is, and this is just because of the way that people just don't analyze football that well, is that Cole Palmer may very well get fewer goal and assists this season, but Chelsea as a team could score a lot more goals. But at the end of the season, they'll be saying, "Oh, Palmer dropped off. Palmer fell off." But actually, he's within a team that is contributing to more goals as a team, and so that's where I just think people don't necessarily look at the right things all the time.
He also got a lot of penalties last season, by the way, and that is something that's kind of out of his control. Although he can take them when the opportunity comes, if we don't get awarded the same amount of penalties, that could chip off. Like, I don't know how many he got, probably like nearly 10 goals from penalties last year. So like, that's a big number.
Yeah,
yeah.
10.
Yeah. So for me, I'd be more. Say he only got like, I don't know how many open play goals he got last season, but if he could improve or get close to that number, I'm okay with it. If we get less penalties or that sort of thing changes and that's out of his control. But like you said, Rory, if as a team we look better and Cole Palmer's putting up slightly lower numbers and he's been doubled up on, tripled up on, fouled a lot more, then I can deal with that. But the thing that we must be clear on is the best players do rise above that. The Eden Hazards of the world, Mohamed Salah's, Saka's gone through that test and shown that he can put up consistent
Saka's going
numbers.
through this every single minute.
I think he's been going through that test for a while, Mo, and he is, but he's still doing it, isn't he? It's not like he's getting worse or he's improving. I think each season, Saka, he's getting better in his challenges and his duels. That's for sure.
Actually,
you don't think?
I don't know why the other day I heard that Saka got worse last season than the season before.
We didn't. His output was higher last season than it was the season
His output
before.
was 25 versus 21 the season before, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or 22, right? But they said in terms of performances, it was. But I don't believe that. I actually believe that people actually, for these types of players, the Salah, the Fodens, the Saka, they are under the microscope. They will be analyzed, same as Vinny Jr. and Mbappe. That actually proves that they're good players. It doesn't prove otherwise. It proves that they are the stars. They are the headlines. If you don't perform, you're going to be put in the headline tomorrow. It is not going to be someone else. It is not going to be Thomas Partey on the headlines if Saka doesn't perform well. It's not going to be Caicedo not in the headlines if Chelsea don't perform. It will be Cole Palmer. If Chelsea lose a game, it will be Cole Palmer put in under the microscope. People need to accept that. Same for every club around in the world. Right? Salah might create 10 chances. Liverpool lose 1. Salah is the headline the next day. No, not nobody else. That is the reality. That is the reality. You're so silent, Joe, about Chelsea as you don't like Chelsea. But
no, I have no sort of like thoughts and opinions on it. I watched that Bournemouth game and it wasn't great for me anyway, personally. I mean, Nkunku took his goal well. Is there a conversation that he starts over Jackson now? Potentially. Wouldn't mind it because I kept him in my fantasy team. I kept faith, didn't I? And he scored, so that was good. I mean, Dan, is that something that could happen? Is that going to be Nkunku's position in the side long term? Because obviously it looks lost out on the left. You've now got Sancho. So where is... Because I think when Nkunku came to the league, we were all so excited, right? And then obviously he has this big injury. And now it looks like he's a bit bad player. But then he comes off the bench, takes his goal really well. What is his long-term future at Chelsea?
Yeah, I don't know at this moment in time, Joe. I think you're right. We were all incredibly excited. He's coming with ridiculous numbers from the Bundesliga. He looks like this incredibly good modern-day footballer that can play in fluid positions, between the lines, pick up the ball, do everything you need the modern-day forward/attacking midfielder to do. And it was really exciting. I obviously think he was recruited in a Chelsea board and structure that doesn't exist anymore because Vivell was removed. And we haven't really seen the best of him in a Chelsea shirt, even though I think there's been small glimpses. I think about the Liverpool finish. I think about there was this amazing touch against Aston Villa where he like plucked it out the sky. Obviously, the goal the other day, he looked, and even the end of last season, he played a few games out towards the left and actually did okay. But ultimately, to not be starting this season as Chelsea's number 9, Maresca can't view him as 100% starter in that position. He spoke today in a press conference saying that he views him as a 10 winger and a striker, but he is considered in Chelsea's squad as a striker. At the moment, I think there has to be a discussion that he should probably be starting up front and be given a chance.
Do you feel Jackson is protected? Does anybody here feel Jackson is protected?
I don't think he's protected. I just think he's put up the best numbers as a out and out striker at Chelsea in the last season. So he has every right to be in that position at the moment as our most trusted number 9. And Nkunku hasn't been fit. When he's played at 9, probably hasn't looked as good as Jackson. But in moments when he's in a tight area in the box and it comes down to his finishing, I would back Nkunku every single time over Jackson. And we've seen Jackson cost Chelsea points or in moments not be clinical enough. And ultimately, it's probably hindered himself in terms of the numbers he's put up and where we've got in terms of points because it hasn't turned a draw into a win. But Nkunku probably hasn't done enough yet to be nailed on as our number 9 as a starter. But I do think there is a discussion going into West Ham that he could start. I really do.
I think Jackson's better if you want to stretch a back line. I think Jackson is better, and I think you came up against that quite a lot last season because a lot of teams felt like they could get at you. I think this season, I think people are most teams are more concerned about your attacking threat. So I do think teams are going to sit deeper this season, and when they're doing that, I think Nkunku would be a far better option, and Jackson really should just be used for City, Arsenal, games where teams are still going to play high line against you.
Yeah, and there's obviously there's Conference League football as well this season that we didn't have last year, where I expect to see Jackson being used in that competition if it does mean that he's rotated out of the squad. But I think you're right, Rory. I think Enzo Maresca's switched on tactically in the sense that I think he's going to adapt his team in terms of every opposition that he plays slightly, and he will notice that there'll be times when Nkunku's way more valuable to the starting 11, and there'll be times when Nkunku's more valuable coming off the bench in comparison to Jackson. But look, the amount of money that's been paid for him, and I'm sure he's on big wages, they're not going to hang on to him because we've seen this summer that players in that position have been moved out of the club pretty swiftly. So he's got to start putting up numbers and getting himself into the team. And at the end of the day, all he can do is train as well as he can. And when he's on the pitch, put up performances that start making people ask questions. If he isn't doing that, then he can't moan and he can't complain that he's on the bench. Jackson's numbers this season aren't bad. And even off the ball, I still think he looks like a positive player. I just think Nicholas Jackson lacks in the moments where Nkunku probably has his biggest strengths.
Might be a case like you mentioned, like Rory was mentioning, obviously Jackson for so long, and then bringing on Nkunku to apply the finishing touch. Do you know what I mean? Because Jackson does keep centre backs busy, doesn't he? He runs all day, and
I think Joe, that's all right in a game against Bournemouth, like you said, that was a bit naff, and there weren't much about that game in general. And Chelsea probably were in a position where we were a little bit lucky to be at 0-0. I think Bournemouth had a penalty. Bournemouth looked better than us in moments in that game. But against the bigger sides, like we saw against Man City, we saw against even Crystal Palace, that if you don't take your chances, you don't win games in the Premier League anymore. You don't get 3 points. And ultimately, Chelsea are in a position, if they want to fight for top 4, they're going to have to fight in every single game they play because of the quality of the league and the lack of experience they got in their squad.
Let me do this. Daka here is saying teams know Palmer is the go-to guy now. He gets doubled up. He needs to have the intelligence to know that is okay because other players around to help. That is the thing that we talk about. Honest, like some Chelsea fans are honest, some aren't. But the reality is when you get doubled on, you'll need to find solutions. It's on you. It's on the manager. Saka has this. Salah has this. De Bruyne has this. Haaland has this. There are no excuses for Cole Palmer. He's a talented footballer and he needs to play good because Chelsea rely on him. Chelsea rely on the guy to actually deliver for them. But also, there is the Sancho talk, which is a big deal, actually. Bermuda, Mo, I can't believe that you believe that. Arteta had to get rid of the poison in the club over 2 years. He put together a team that he can win with. I believe that. Okay, so how long should we wait? Well, I'm not going to go into this again. I want someone to tell me how long should I wait? If I'm an Arsenal fan, how long should I wait? Right, for the challenge. What if Guardiola renews for 3 years tomorrow and he stays? What should I do? Khalas, give up and just say I'm happy to check. Khalas? No, I don't think you should do that. Yes, okay, you built a team, fantastic team. Where are you gonna go from here then? Challenge, great. Fantastic, but you need to move on.
No, they have to have a better transfer window if they're going to close.
How many fucking transfer windows? How many transfer windows then?
Yeah, but Mo, like this one they've just had, like if Arsenal was serious about competing to win a league title and overtake Manchester City, they could have done more. They definitely could have done more. Because we all know that quite clearly they haven't done enough to put themselves into a conversation prior to the season starting. That means that they've closed that gap more than where they left it at the end of last season. Really, I think they've
But
done.
do you want the truth?
They
then?
barely moved the needle. I think, in my
Do
opinion.
you guys want to know the truth? I actually believe, and I think I'm not in the know, that Arsenal don't have the money to buy the top players they have. They have PSR. Arsenal spent a lot of money over the last 2 windows. Arsenal don't generate a lot of income.
They did this
Arsenal
summer.
don't have the financial capacity like Manchester City to spend money like them. Arsenal spent a lot of money. They paid David Raya. They bought Moreno. They bought Calafiori. But people just think that Arsenal can spend. They can't do that. People need to understand Manchester City are a different animal when it comes to the financial thing. They actually generate almost double what Arsenal. If I'm not mistaken, Arsenal generate 400 something. Man City generate over 700 million in revenue.
Okay, but Arsenal have
So
spent
Arsenal
more than Manchester City in this window.
I think Arsenal need to get better at selling players, right? That's where Manchester City really come into their own.
Yes,
They farm all
thank
the
you so much.
youngsters. They
This
bring them
season,
to
though,
a
Joe,
certain
they've done
level.
all right.
Can I
mate.
counter
They've
that,
sold,
Ro-
they've
can I
sold
counter
Nketiah
that,
and
guys?
Smith Rowe for more than 30 million, which puts them right up the top of how much they've had. Previous seasons,
But-
by the way, I think Oxlade-Chamberlain was still up near the top 3, was he not, Rory, for like transfer fees received for players outgoing of Arsenal? But
if you compare that though with say City, who moved on Taylor Howard-Bellis to Southampton for 20-25 million, James Trafford to Burnley 18 million. It's all these, these youngsters. They're genuinely, they are littered all over the championship, all over the championship. So
Yeah, but can I
City have,
counter
like,
this? Because they win, Joe. Because they win.
no, it's not just that, Mo. It's the fact that I don't believe that Arsenal have been putting out the players on loan to those clubs in the quantities that Manchester City and Chelsea have been doing, and then we're able to generate those fees that Joe's talking about. But we all knew that Arsenal had to improve. But this summer they have. I'm not sure if their recruitment could have been stronger this season or not in terms of financials. There might be limitations there, but ultimately, I don't think they've done enough. And there are question marks over some of the recruit. There was a summer not so long ago, Rory, correct me if I'm wrong, under Arteta, where you spent the best part of 150 million. And I don't know how many of those players are still there when Tavares came in and players like that. No, for Vieira, how many of those are still there from that summer?
I'm trying to think who we signed that summer. Was that
Because it's not like there hasn't been question marks for me in terms of the recruitment over like the last 3 years.
No, there was a summer when, Nuno Vieira, but then we bought in Ramsdale. Was that the same summer we bought in Ramsdale?
I mean, he's gone.
Yeah,
so he wasn't good enough.
White. I can't remember if that was the same summer. Was White and Tomiyasu? Was that the same summer?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah. No, there's no.
But what are your views, Rory? Do you think that Arsenal's summer was good enough for you to close the gap in terms of winning the league?
Well, no. I kind of did think it, and then Marino got injured, which didn't help. I still felt like we needed to go and get at least one attacking player. In terms of if we could have spent more, like my understanding is that we're not in danger of PSR, but we're relatively close to it, knowing full well that we've got like Saka's going to have to get a massive contract, Saliba's going to have to get a massive contract. Like we know we've got big contract renewals upcoming, and the club didn't want to like put themselves right on the wire of PSR and then be like, oh, we can't offer Saliba the money we need to keep him from going to Real Madrid. So I think that's kind of where that is. But back to the original point of like how long you give Arteta, I'll always come back to the same thing of, does anyone here think that Arsenal have a better squad than Man City?
No.
No.
Does anyone here think that there is a better manager on the planet than Pep Guardiola?
Hold on. Can I go back to the first question?
Yeah.
I'll go back. Okay. Before the season started, I said Arsenal now should be better than Manchester City. You have way better defenders than them. Declan Rice was on par with every DM in the world in the last season. Martin Odegaard started to put a number to be the brilliant player he is. You need the left eight. Saka's performing in a very, very good way. I thought that Arsenal needed maybe 2 additions, and your starting 11 is as competitive as them. Going to the bench. But you didn't. But that's what Dan is talking about. Then
No, I know Dan's talking about
now
the
comes to
ownership.
what Dan is talking about.
No, I agree. Dan's talking about the ownership and what we've done with the squad. I'm talking back to the question about the manager. There's two different things.
But you can't get two Peps in the world. You'll have to beat Pep. Like,
Of course.
It's your question. Arteta's better than Pep, but you, at some point, like,
no, yeah,
we can't do
so,
that. Like, because
so
there's
my
only
point
one
is,
Pep.
Of course, but so my point is though is always going to be, if you get rid of Mikel Arteta, what manager in the world do you think can come in, take a squad that you've just said is a squad that you believe is worse than Man City's squad, and beat Pep Guardiola with it? And I don't know what
It is worse than Pep, actually, because you lost the league. But on paper, it is not.
Do you think Arsenal's got a better squad than City?
Do you not think even with Pep, even if Pep was to get it wrong, and we're talking about he has like a chance of 3 or 4 games a season where he may get it wrong. They very rarely lose more than 5 games in a season, do they? So even if he gets it wrong, there's Erling Haaland that's going to bail him out if the opportunity comes his way because he is that good now. Arsenal have to improve their squad drastically to get close to even being able to compete against someone putting up the numbers like Erling Haaland. And I just don't think they did it.
Because of Pep. Okay, hear me out.
Yeah, but okay, yes, because of Pep.
Doku and
Pep has an
Savinho
off day,
and Oscar Bob.
genuinely
None
believe
of them
Haaland will carry that team through. Because all he needs is like 2 chances and his conversion rate is that good.
Okay, the reality is Doku, Savinho, and whoever plays on the wing, because he doesn't play Foden on the wing anymore. Jack Grealish. Arsenal were hoping that they will get the best version of Martinelli or Trossard. These guys won't start over Saka on the wing. Only Haaland is there. That's why Arsenal need another attacker. But apart from this, these guys are, because of Pep, they're playing well. Grealish is not getting anywhere near a starting 11 for both teams. Give me a break.
He starts for Arsenal. He starts for Arsenal.
Yeah,
at this moment in time, I think Grealish starts for Arsenal over Martinelli.
God, bro.
Arteta would take Grealish in a heartbeat, man.
Rory, what's your views on that? Come on.
I think Grealish would he'd 100% be an.
Because Martinelli is not performing well now.
Well,
in hindsight,
but again,
today.
in the same way you say like those players are only at that level because of Pep. Would you not say the same about Arsenal? Would Ben White be a title contender or title winner without Arteta?
No.
So that's so it's the same. It's the same.
That's
sort of
why
thing,
I give credit to Arteta. I sit on all the shows and I
say, Ben White was fucking doing bits at Leeds United. He was always a baller. You can go find content where I said this. So he was always different gravy. Let's show some love. And also, we need to be giving props to Graham Potter because he moved him to right back. He was a centre back before that. He moved him to right back. Arteta took on that mantle. He was always going to be a baller, but that's just my opinion because he played for my club. But yeah,
weren't your club putting in like 40 million?
Bro, some Arsenal fans wanted him dropped to play Timber on the right side and Calafiori.
I only said, Joe, weren't Leeds putting in an offer for like 40 million?
We tried to get him, but they wouldn't sell him. And to be fair, they did right because a season later he went for 50 to Arsenal, so they did right by him. To be fair, and we're in the Championship.
Why did we go back to Arsenal? I'm sorry. What happened?
Super chat.
Okay. See, super chat. You got really your money's worth. Despite all this, Palmer still has the most assists. This is the most shameless comment in one game. He had 3 assists against the Wolves. Which
by the way, what I will say is that game against Wolves is the perfect example of a defense occupying Cole Palmer and vacating a space for the other player to take his opportunities in. Madueke did it 3 times where Aït-Nouri vacated his space. So that's what has to happen. Ultimately, though, that's like the perfect situation against Wolves.
For me, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there aren't going to be many times that you come up against Aït-Nouri at left back in a back 4 this season, which is the problem.
I think, for me, I'm looking at Chelsea. I picked Chelsea to get top 4. I think if they win this game against Bournemouth, you're playing Bournemouth away.
That's West Ham, isn't it?
West Ham away.
I think you can win that.
Way worse than Bournemouth.
Sorry. I think you're gonna actually win this game, and I think you're gonna win against West Ham away. I genuinely think that. West Ham have been not good. They haven't been great.
You
But
don't think they're I think they're an improve. I think West Ham have looked better in the football that they're playing than under Moyes.
Yeah, but that's not. West Ham's still gonna lose the game. Their
David
defense
Moyes
is
will be
not
back
great.
in charge by end of season, I'm
But
telling you.
December, bro. December, David Moyes is there.
He's back, man. He's back, I'm telling you.
Yeah, David Moyes is there.
Mo, for what can I get your like your reasonings behind the confidence going into this West Ham game? Because that's been a tricky fixture for Chelsea in recent years. So I just wanted to know your.
Okay, so West Ham aren't gonna defend against you with blocks. They're gonna attack. They're gonna try to take the game into you, and they're gonna leave spaces at the back. And West Ham back line, for me, and the way they play, they allow a lot of chances. So that is why I think you're gonna win the game.
Like I
Especially
think
if
that
Nkunku
fixture
plays.
last year, we lost 3-1.
Were you the better team on the front?
No,
You
we had a
with the
man sent
counter.
off, if I remember rightly.
Okay.
But then under Moyes is obviously a different kettle of fish to under Lopetegui, isn't it? And they got a different team as well now. And Danny Ings is back.
Danny, the only problem with you is going to be the defense against Kudus and Bowen and Paqueta. And that is the job of. I'm not sure if Lavia is back. If Enzo Fernandez play, you might not win the game. I am turning into Enzo Fernandez completes the square. I have Sterling agenda, I have Jack Grealish agenda, and I think it's Enzo Fernandez as well.
But is anyone jury in on Enzo Fernandez? Because everyone I speak to has the same views on him.
I don't think the guy suits the Premier League at all, to be honest. I don't think the guy should play in the Premier League. Chelsea should take the L and just sell the guy for 25 million in the next window, or get 50 million from an Atletico Madrid or something like that. He's not that good. He's a 40 million pound player maximum, bro.
Yeah, the thing is, you can't even go back to Enzo and look at like a long catalogue of him putting in top performances that justified that payment in the first place. Like, it's not even on the level of Caicedo. Like, at least Caicedo, you'd seen him putting in 6 months, well, no, closer to a year in the Premier League where he looked good. Like Enzo's, it was wild. That was Chelsea at their absolute peak of just being mental.
To be honest, yeah. Best comment, he's the spicy Jorginho when Jorginho got old. It's literally that, bro.
That's criminal to Jorginho, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do think that's disrespectful to Jorginho. He's done things that Enzo Fernandez, I don't think, will ever achieve.
It's not about the achievement, guys. It's about the
He's a World Cup winner, though. He's a World Cup winner, man.
Yeah, I know that. But I just think Jorginho in himself has done things that I just don't see Enzo Fernandez.
Otamendi is a World Cup winner. You'd have to say Romero's a World Cup winner. You don't like Romero. Romero's a World Cup winner. You would have the same energy for Romero.
Yeah. Take it back.
You don't have the same energy for Romero.
I take it back.
Anyway, listen, people. This has been absolutely magnificent and a brilliant show. Guys, really, we can't have over 500 people all the show and only on 200 likes. Literally, we need 300 likes. We need to push this show more. So the like button is underneath the live chat. Also, these guys' channels. Rory, what do you got coming up?
Live stream tonight, normal time, 6:30, chatting about the Man City game. And then, just the standard.
Now, that would be hilarious. I want Arsenal to win this game, to be honest, for Arsenal. If you win, you go above Man City.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That would be amazing.
Everyone needs Arsenal to win this game.
I want Arsenal to win the game, bro. I have to have Arsenal to win the game.
You know what would be brilliant to prove my point perfectly would be if Arsenal win by parking the bus, scoring from a set piece, winning 1-0, and then I guarantee on Monday people will still be talking about how badly Arsenal played and how we're not going to win the game because we played defensively, even if we win away at the Etihad. It's predictable, but no, look. Yeah, it's not going to be a good game for the neutral. I promise you. If you
win at the Etihad, I promise you. I think a lot of people will change their opinion, and you're going to be like favorites to win the league in their eyes.
I doubt it.
The objective ones. Joe, what do you got coming up, my man?
Just previewing tomorrow's game, mate, against Cardiff. Don't worry about it, man. Load of shite. I'll be back next year. I promise, man. This is our time. So yeah.
Are you top of the league? Not yet.
Nah, man, we're 9th, man. We lost our first game and everyone wants to sack Farker. It's like I'm having to, it's crazy. It's like 1 loss in 5, relax. But there's that much pressure that people are like, he can't play it. It's just frustrating, man. But hey ho, it's because of the pressure. We need to go up because another season there, we lose more players, and we lost a lot this summer. So there's a lot riding.
You
on
in
it.
danger, PSR? No.
Nah, man. We made the most in Europe, bro. We sold Rutter 40 million. We sold Archie Gray 40 million. Somerville nearly 30 million. We sold a lot of
Bro, it
players.
is crazy that you sell with higher prices than Arsenal sell their
We
players.
genuinely
It's absolutely crazy.
we made the most in Europe this summer. That's why we were playing L that we didn't buy enough. But hey ho, it is what it is.
Yeah. Dan, you got something coming up?
Yeah,
You're gonna watch
obviously
along,
preview
I'm
for
sure, for the Chelsea
West
Ham.
Ham. Yeah, watch along, early watch along as well. I find the Saturday 12:30 game a difficult
Bro,
one.
it is 6:30 here for me. Count your blessings.
And obviously all the reactions to come after that game as well. So yeah, pleasure being on JUDGEMO.
Guys, still Nobbin's channel is in the description. Because they're not here, that doesn't mean we don't shout them. Tom's channel is in the description as well. And also with these guys' channels are in the description. So go and subscribe to all of them. Brilliant content. We'll see you guys on the show on Monday. Maybe I'll see you tonight for a show. Maybe not. I'm just going to need to go to the doctors. So we'll see you guys soon. We're out of here, people.